Hey, welcome. Today we're going to talk about a phrase that, let's be honest, can make us all a little uncomfortable, but it might just be one of the most powerful tools we have for getting smarter. And that phrase is, I don't know. All right, let's get into it.
You felt this, right? I mean, this quote from a Reddit user just nails it. We're in this culture where you're just expected to have a hot take on, well, everything. But all this pretending, this refusal to just admit we don't know something, it doesn't just spread bad information. It's a colossal waste of everyone's time and energy.
So that begs the question, why? Why do we feel this intense pressure to be an expert on everything? And what are the real consequences when our confidence about a topic is, completely detached from how much we actually know about it? To figure that out, we have to start with a really fascinating and kind of humbling quirk in our own brains. It's the very thing that makes us feel like a genius one minute and then leaves us completely speechless the next. It's a cognitive bias called the illusion of explanatory depth. And it's actually pretty simple. Basically, we confuse being familiar with something for truly understanding it. We see and use things all day, every day, so our brain just assumes, yeah, I got this, even when we couldn't explain how it works to save our lives. Let's try a little thought experiment right now. You know what a bike is. You know how a toilet works. But seriously, could you, right now, draw a diagram of how they function? Like how the pedals and chain actually make the wheels turn, or the exact mechanism inside the tamp that makes a toilet flush? Yeah. For most of us, that's the exact moment the illusion just pops. And that is the heart of the problem. That easy feeling of, oh yeah, I totally know how a bike works, that's the illusion. The struggle to actually explain it, that's the reality. And the huge gap between those two things, that's where overconfidence is born. We're all just walking around with this false sense of certainty. This phenomenon is so widespread, it actually has a name you've probably heard before, the Dunning-Kruger effect. It's a wild paradox. Think about it. To realize you're bad at something, you need to have some knowledge about it in the first place. So the people with the least amount of skill are often the most blissfully unaware of their own incompetence. This chart really breaks down the two sides of the coin. On the one hand, you have the less skilled, who tend to think they're way better than they are. They can't even recognize real expertise when they see it. But then, on the flip side, you have the true experts, and get this, they often underestimate their own abilities. They fall into this other trap of thinking, well, this is easy for me, so it must be easy for everyone. There is a fantastic word for someone who confidently gives opinions on things they know absolutely nothing about, an ultra-crepidarian. The story goes that a painter was criticized by a shoemaker for how he'd painted a sandal. The painter fixed it, but when the shoemaker started critiquing other parts of the painter shot back, "Shoemaker, not beyond the shoe." It's the perfect term, isn't it? So it's fun to have a word for it, but the impact of this kind of behavior is, well, it's not fun at all. When you have a society full of people who are certain but wrong, the consequences can be massive, from toxic comment threads all the way up to really bad policy decisions. This isn't just harmless posturing. When people are totally convinced they understand complex issues, but really don't, it makes productive debate impossible. It's not about fighting the truth anymore, it's about winning. And that just breeds polarization, it leads to terrible decisions, and honestly, on a personal level, it slams the door on any chance you have to actually learn something new. And this whole thing gets put on steroids by our brain's other little shortcuts. A huge one is confirmation bias. Our brains really don't like being wrong, so we instinctively look for information that proves we were right all along. And before you know it, we're in an echo chamber that just keeps reinforcing our initial and often flawed beliefs. Okay, so that's the problem, and it's pretty baked into our psychology. So what do we do about it? Well, the solution is surprisingly simple, even if it isn't always easy to say. It all comes down to embracing three little words. And this really works. Take this person in finance. They were worried that saying "I don't know" would make them seem incompetent. But what actually happened was the exact opposite. Their clients respected their honesty. It built trust because they knew that when this person did give them an answer, it was solid. Here's another great one from a totally different world. This engineering interviewer says they value candidates who are upfront about what they don't know. And why wouldn't they? It shows self-awareness, it saves everyone time, and it lets them focus on what the person actually brings to the table. Faking it just wastes time. And I love this insight from a teacher. When a student says, "I don't know," it isn't a failure on their part. It's crucial feedback. It's a signal to the teacher that maybe they need to explain it a different way. It opens the door to real learning, whereas just nodding along keeps it shut tight. So we really need to rewire how we think about this. Saying I don't know is not weakness. It's actually a sign of incredible confidence. It shows you're secure enough to be honest about your limits, and it marks the exact starting line where real learning can finally begin.
This whole approach, this comfort with not knowing, this willingness to be wrong, it all rolls up into one really powerful concept. It's the mindset we should all be aiming for.
And that concept is intellectual humility. Now, this isn't about being wishy-washy or having no convictions. It's about holding your beliefs with an open hand, not a clenched fist. It's the self-awareness to recognize, hey, I might be wrong about this, and the wisdom to know where your knowledge ends.
And when you embrace it, the benefits are just huge. Intellectual humility is the perfect antidote to everything we just talked about. It makes you more curious, it makes you more open-minded, it makes you a better learner. It turns arguments into discussions. It's a total game changer. Of course, this isn't some brand new idea. Way back in the 19th century, Charles Darwin himself pointed it out. He noticed that it's often ignorance, not knowledge, that breeds that rock-solid, absolute confidence we see so often.
And that really brings us full circle to this famous paradox from Socrates. I know that I know nothing. He wasn't saying he was a fool. He was saying that true wisdom begins with recognizing the sheer vastness of what you don't know. So I'll leave you with this. What's something you feel really confident about? And could you actually explain how it works?